Who still uses notebooks, filing cabinets? You can be honest. Like, it's okay. Okay. So if you have a filing cabinet and you open it up and it's like A to Z, you've got all your folders, all your files, you print everything. If your place burnt down, then what? Okay. How do you share? How do you delegate? How do you deal with that stuff? And how to use Dropbox, super important. The number one thing with Dropbox, I want you to think of Dropbox as your filing cabinet. And there are other things now, like iCloud has their own document folder, Amazon has one. Again, it's like I like to use things that have been out for a little while, like they're not going anywhere. So I used Dropbox when it first came out. I think it was 2008 or 9. And it was everything was free because they were in beta. It was new. They're trying it out. And so I did both. Like I had my notebooks, but then I also started a Dropbox. And the name to your files, just like you would on a manila folder, you got to treat Dropbox the exact same way. And it's so much easier to set it up on your computer. There's just things that I do on the computer that I could never do on the phone. You just can't. I mean, you could figure it out, but by the time you waste time doing it, you could have spent $2,000 on a computer and like saved yourself all that time. And then you're just going to quit. So on the computer, the most important thing you're going to see here is the name. So I'm so OCD about our folders that I put 2 stars in front of the folder because I want it at the top. And then everything has a name. And then if I share a folder with a person, it tells me that. Now, you know that because you see the little, you see the little 3 guys, like that tells you share it. And there are like little things, like I've had clients take this class, they're like, okay, I got on Dropbox, but now I'm trying to share this and share that, but it won't go through. Like there are limitations. You just have to know and know how to use it. And it does take a little bit of transition and change. But naming stuff is super, super, super important. Like that's the whole key to Dropbox. People are like, oh my God, I can't find my stuff. I'm like, that's because you save stuff from your phone to Dropbox, and then you can't find your files. You've got to tell it where to go, people. And Dropbox, they keep updating, and now like you can tell it where to go from your phone. You can pick a folder, a subfolder, you can name it right there, and it's done. It's awesome. So for example, like...
How did you just close everything?
Do what?
How did you just close everything?
So I have 9 desktops open right now.
Okay.
We're going to talk about that.
Okay.
This is going to change your life.
Okay.
No, y'all are like, how do you do this? Yeah. Okay, so just to give you an example, like here is a client that we're working on for next month. So pretty much every single client, you notice up here, it's got their date, first name, last name, bridegroom, whatever, or the project we're working on. Like I have a folder for today's class for productivity. Everything has a name. And so like her ceremony is like way over the top, so it gets its own folder. Dear Addie's, lots of invitation stuff. We do save some emails. Disclosure, if you save your emails or drag them from your Mac mail to a folder in Dropbox, you can only access it on this machine. So be careful with that. The other way that you can do it is if you set up folders, and we're going to talk about this later too. If you're setting up folders right here, make sure you're doing it on the back end. So like my back end, some of this is run by G Suite, which is Google. Some of this is run by Network Solutions. If you create your folders right here, you're creating them locally. They're not going to sync, and if something happened to your computer, you would lose everything in your folders. So that's really, really important. Where'd I go? So I'm on
Dropbox, the exact same thing as Google Drive. Security.
You can do the same thing, but I use them for very different things. So with Dropbox, everything you see in here is not being edited. I'm simply dropping it in there. And typically it's for the client to see, and it's for us to organize all of our stuff. Google Drive, I love it for editing and live edits. So, and again, I learned this the hard way, maybe 4 or so years ago before I really got into Google Drive. I used Dropbox for everything. I shared everything. I had a client in a different country. She had the timeline open. Her mom had the timeline open. I had it open, and my assistant had it open. So 4 people on Dropbox had the timeline open. For 8 or 9 hours, we were on the phone because we're all in different spots. And we're all OCD about hitting save. Save, 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 save. So Dropbox got confused. And so we close the computer, I go to bed, I wake up, the shit's gone. Everything was gone. Now, Dropbox, and then I'm Googling and I'm trying to restore, and I mean, just, cry. I'm like, what? So then I was like, never doing that again. Now, they have come out with an update. I don't trust it still. So Google Drive is live editing, which I'm going to talk about that next. So for Dropbox, I just simply drop and share. I don't edit anything, rarely. But you notice...
You pay for the upgrade for this. Because
well,
the free one can't handle...
Correct. So I don't pay for Dropbox only because I was an early adopter, and every time you share Dropbox and they sign up for it, you get 250 megabytes of free space. So I have pretty much forced every vendor, every photographer, every person, not because I want the free space, it's because it's the most productive. Now they have smug mugs, so a lot of photographers share things that way, which we're going to talk about photos. But early on, I got so much free space because I was signing people up. I mean, that wasn't my goal. It just happened that way. But yes, like if I had to pay $1,000 a year, done. Like I would invest in it. The way that you know how you have your space is... also with Dropbox, make sure that you you download it onto your machines. Like, don't go to Dropbox.com. Yes, it can eat up a little bit of space on your machine, and yes, my machine gets full, but everything needs to live in the cloud. But it's so much more easy to put the little thing on your computer, and then you've got all your folders here. If you go to your settings, so you see right here, I've used 7% of 1,061 gigabytes. I don't think I'll ever get full.
No.
Ever. And even if I did, I would still pay for it. So you can pause syncing. This is very important. Your preferences, again, going back to preferences, you want to make, like, some people are like, oh, I think I have Dropbox, but I don't know which email I used. Well, this is how you find out. You can unlink things. I don't think you guys have to worry about this, but a few important things about Dropbox is if you're using iCloud or something else to stream your photos and back them up, you do not need to back them up on Dropbox. That's just taking up space that you're probably going to end up having to pay for. So pick one. Why would you not use iCloud? If you have an iPhone and Apple products, it automatically does it, but you have to set it up.
So don't use it for photos.
No.
I just set up my Dropbox. I didn't have one.
You got to turn it off.
Photos, all that. Skip.
No, I have the best story. So when Dropbox did an update years and years ago, it automatically would do your photos. And so my assistant at the time, who was great in a setting where she clocked in and out and worked in a cubicle, but then when she came to work with me, she worked from home. We had a more flexible schedule. She had a 2-year-old and apparently like a really crazy boyfriend who was like on drugs, but I didn't know this. And so I wake up one morning and it's a Saturday and I'm about to get ready for a wedding. I open my computer and all these picture notifications pop up. I'm like, what's this? Click, click, click. All these nude photos of her and the boy, like things that you don't ever want anybody to see. And like, why the hell you're taking pictures of that? I don't know. So I just shut it and I texted. I'm like, hey, FYI, your personal cell phone is being synced to our company Dropbox right now, so you might want to unsync that shit. And she texted back immediately. She's like, I'm so sorry, I'm trying to lose weight, so I've been taking nude photos, and you were doing more than that. Yeah. I mean, I stopped clicking on the notifications, and then it just kind of went downhill from there. Anyway, especially if you have a company Dropbox and a personal Dropbox, like, just don't do that. Don't do that. It's two different services too. Like there's Dropbox Business, and it gives you more flexibility to share. But like if you're not going to use a personal Dropbox, then we can just change that user ID over. And so when people share with you, you just change your email in the settings. So you go to the account and you can change this.
Right.
I mean, your Dropbox is your Dropbox until you share it. Or if you have Dropbox Business, and you can share and edit things, which you
Limit what you share. Yeah.
yeah, and so you should pay attention to that. Amanda's the only person on our team that has my login, and she can see what I see. So, but there's certain, like she doesn't even sync, which the next thing is you pick what you want to sync. So right here where it says sync, selective sync, you want to choose your folders. And once you really get on this system, your machine's going to tell you it's full. And you're going to have to unsync some stuff. And it means it's still living in the cloud. You can go to Dropbox.com from anywhere in the world and still get access to it, but it doesn't need to live on your machine. So basically what your machine is doing when you download this little thing, it's taking a picture of everything you're doing live and then backing it up to the cloud. And so, I mean, look at how many folders, you guys, I don't have checked, right? Because I don't want to get rid of them. I do try to clean my Dropbox out at least every January, once a year. Or I'll offload this stuff onto a hard drive if it's not that important, because if you drop a hard drive or it gets coffee or what, your shit's gone. So we've had some scary incidences with video people where I had an intern that was carrying a hard drive from one place to another just because I asked her to. Hey, run this hard drive. She dropped it. The footage was distorted. It was thousands of dollars to recover. And that was like at midnight after a wedding. You know, I mean, that was all their wedding footage. You can't get that stuff back. That's why you don't just hire one camera operator. Okay? It's a whole other story. I don't want to go off on a tangent. I'm trying really hard not to go off on tangents. So, I mean, look at how many folders. Like, literally.
Those are all folders in your Dropbox, but they're not synced
to my computer.
to your computer.
Correct. And they're all named. All of them. Vendors, website stuff, Wedding Planning University.
So they're in Dropbox, or
They're all in Dropbox. So I can go to Dropbox.com and they're all there. And then if I wanted to sync something, like for instance with consulting and coaching, like when I'm done with somebody and they're good, like with marketing stuff, I'll unsync it and uncheck it if I'm done. But then it's like a year later, they're like, hey, I need a facelift. Like, and sometimes I need to refer back to that, so I'll pull their folder back down on a Dropbox. But that's what selective sync means. So this sync right here, you gotta, again, tell your computer what do you want to see over here in your everyday folder, which these are my everyday, every week folders of things that I actively want because I'm constantly opening them. Now, this is just the computer. On the phone, there's no selective sync. All your folders are there. They're all in order. All your stuff is named. So like when I go to Dropbox right now, it's like I can scroll and see everything. So does that make sense? Same thing with the iPad. So I'm looking at the presentation. It's living in the cloud, and I'm just pulling it down. And once I close it, it goes back
So
up
the ones that are not synced on your computer are
in the cloud.
they're in the cloud,
Mhm.
but you're not seeing them.
Right.
here.
Right. And again, all this is in the cloud too. It's just that I need access to these all the time, so I'm pulling them down. They're still saving and backing
You're
up.
having those checked as syncing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
The other thing with Dropbox, if you do editing, you do have to hit save. A couple things that I would never recommend for Dropbox. Like, there are a few things where it's just much easier to just do it in Dropbox. We have an Excel-based template and a Word-based template. So in our Excel template, it's got the guest list, the RSVPs, the budget, the seating chart, like there's tabs for everything. And then we have the timeline template, which is about 13 pages of just an outline. And then once someone hires us, we go in and customize everything, and then we share it with them. And that's all real-time updating. So they can see that. It's constantly being edited. And what I also love about it is if a mom goes in and accidentally deletes 400 addresses, and then the bride emails you the next morning, and she's like, why would you delete? I'm like, why the hell would I delete your shit? Like, I need that. And so I go back, and Google tells you all real time the changes, and the mom had accidentally hit delete. And I can see whose computer at what time in what country, and then you can restore it very quickly. Where Dropbox is not, it's not as user friendly as restoring things. For example, the other day this happened to us. We shared a Dropbox with a client that had everything in it. Everything. I'm talking like, I don't know, 20 quotes. And he's not familiar. He's a very smart man. He's a physician. He's the father of the groom. He deletes it. And she's like, where's their folder? And like, I went to Dropbox.com and I went to deleted files, and I could quickly restore it. And then when I restored it, for some reason it went to somebody else's folder, but you can see the pathway. And then, but that's only there for 30 days. And like, if that event was in 8 months and she hadn't said like, where's the folder, it would have been gone. So that's the other thing. You have to educate people that you're sharing it with. If they delete things out of there, it deletes it out of yours too. And you can set up those rights. You can say view only, edit, add. That's what I'm saying. When you go to set this stuff up, you got to know what you're doing. And so watch videos. I have a ton of videos like where I record my screen all on YouTube. And if I don't have a video, if I have someone from class, they're like, hey, I'm running into this. How do I do it? I record my screen and then put it on YouTube.